name is Adrian Bex, and I've got a retreat centre in Bridgewater in Somerset, where we take people on these very magical journeys using light and sound and other healing tools such as gongs and sound, singing bowls and good food. And we do like retreats for people who just have a nice getaway, almost like a service to your mind, body, and spirit. When you get a service to your car, you clean out stuff, and you get it all new and clean, and just able to detach from the world. So binaural beats, so you know what they are. A binaural beat is an auditory illusion heard by both ears when two distinct pure tone sine waves, lower than 1500 Hz and greater than 0.1 Hz, with the difference between them creating a third signal or a vibrato effect, only taking place by only the listener. Okay, so you're probably thinking, what's that about? Hello, come on in. Not late, it's fine. It's not like school getting punished. Okay, so here's a nice picture of me, and this is a picture I had taken of the Pandora Star. This is how binaural beats work. Binaural beats are audio tones played either on stereo headphones, as see here, we're wearing these headphones, or with stereo speakers, left and right. And how this works is you have, say, 100 Hz in the right ear, and a difference of 107.5 in the left ear. It doesn't have to be that exact tone, those frequencies, but the difference between 100 Hz and 107.5 is 7.5 Hz, which that 7.5 Hz creates a third signal within the brain, within the mind, creates a whole focused brainwave state. And so you've probably heard sort of binaural beats before around you. You probably can hear it now from the projector. That wavering sound, or like from a refrigerator. I find it quite therapeutic if you like work in the kitchen and you hear that. Almost like you feel a bit tired in the day. If you're working and you listen to that. There's tones everywhere, all around us, all the time. But to tell you a bit about the history of binaural beats. Oh, go on to this first. Okay. So there's lambda, which is the highest frequency range at 200 Hz, which is to do with higher awareness and mental states, also to access the out-of-body state as well. There's lucid dreaming. Next one down from that is something called hypergamma, which is between like 80 and 100 Hz. And this is a state that Tibetan monks get into, and it's a very high level of insight, of awareness. It's a very energetic state of consciousness, as well as being very, very deep and aware. They say that Tibetan monks, if you go to sleep and you wake up again, they say that you've died an unconscious death, that you've actually you've had a blackout in your sleep. So this is why in the tradition of in Tibet and Himalayas and other practices, this is why they try and keep really awake. They're in meditation for long hours because they're trying to get that rejuvenation for their whole mind and body, and access those higher states of consciousness, even such as being out in the Himalayas when there's snow about and melting snow around them when they're completely just sitting out naked, and you think, well, what's generating that energy? It's their mind, it's their body. You can do a lot to it. If anyone saw Tara's demonstration earlier with the seeds, hatching out and sprouting, it's when you saw that, that's quite magical when you can access these states higher earlier. Okay, then there's gamma, which is not so hyper than hypergamma, which is as similar to hypergamma, just it's not so energetic, not so hyperactive, which is more to do with the subconscious, and it's all to do with altered states to deep meditation. Going on down from there is beta, which is 13 to 30 Hz, and that's hopefully what you're in at the moment, if you're all listening. Yeah, if you're conscious, raise your hands, I know you're listening. Yeah, bit away, it's all good. It's all right. We fluctuate to these all throughout the day. We can listen to different frequencies, we can process them. At different times, there'll be 4 different frequencies going on, and our mind can interpret those separately. But as a conditioned human being, we think that we can only hear one thing at a time. I mean, if you listen around you now, you can probably hear the projector, you can probably hear people talking next door. You might be able to feel your heart beating, or there's a little tap there at the back there. There's always something going on, but as well as me speaking as well. But there's always a sound taking place, and you're always taking it in all the time, even subconsciously, and even through these states as well, which is alpha as well, which might be that next one. There we go, alpha, which is 7 to 13 hertz, which is due to the subconscious mind, and that's the frequencies that we'll be using today on the binaural beats under the Pandora Star, which I'll talk to you a bit more in a bit. Next from there is theta, which is quite a well-known one. A lot of you probably heard of. It's to do with meditation, also very light sleep as well, and very relaxation. And yes, it's a lot to do with the subconscious mind. These are the states. Theta is a very well-known state that you access into meditation. You're able to get downloads, creativity, and you probably all meditated and you come out and go, oh, I've got some inspiration. You're like, yeah, because you're in theta. You're allowing your subconscious mind to come through, which is allowing you to access these states. Going deeper now, and you all go in the state at night, which is delta, which is to do with dreaming and sleep, and also rejuvenation as well of the mind and body. And I was training very hard in the gym, and getting to bed. It said that your muscles don't grow in the gym; they grow when you're asleep, because that's when you're rejuvenating. You're healing, and we all need that replenished sleep at night. Delta usually occurs after a few minutes after you fall asleep. You're straight into that state. You're into delta, which after you're in more higher levels, such as theta, because you've had the replenished 4 or 5 hours or 6 hours of replenished sleep, which after you go into REM sleep, also known as rapid eye movement, and that's when you start to dream more. And you fluctuate between all these states, when you're awake and you're asleep. If you daydream and or you're conscious or not, we're a whole cocktail of these frequencies, including the last one, which is epsilon, which is 0.5 hertz and below. And epsilon is to do with very deep states of consciousness, such as OBEs and astral projection, and it does. All these states do have subconscious sort of frequencies behind it too. They all work on making this whole meat suit filled with chemicals and access different frequencies. You might think, why frequencies? Why are frequencies taking place? Why is it so important that binaural beats are working? It's the way our mind is generating, the different states of consciousness in us. It's like binaural beats work on the 2 different tones placed on either side the ears. Isochronic tones are also like shamanic drum beats. So you've heard a shamanic drum, or you've had a shamanic drum experience, perhaps or not, when you have constant drumming and doom, 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 doom. It's like a constant beat. After a few minutes, you start to get really, really deep. And that's an isochronic tone. It works very similar to binaural beats. As I said, binaural beats work with different frequencies either side of the ear that your brain can interpret, and creates a third signal in your brain, a whole focused brainwave state. And isochronic tones are just as powerful as binaural beats, but everyone is different. So people interact and interpret these states much differently. Okay, some history of binaural beats, just so you know where this all stemmed from. There's a lot of information here. First was found in 100 AD or around that time. I can't say his name properly. Claudius Ptolemy. I don't know if any of you have heard of him. Writer, astronomer. He basically was studying the effects of entrainment, and that was the earliest known history of binaural beats. It wasn't until after that Hans Berger found the strength of the cycles per second, or known as wave, could be driven beyond its natural frequency using flickering lights, photonic driving, which is another word for brainwave entrainment using photic light stimulation. And funny enough, in the modern day, we have LED light entrainment devices such as the Pandora Star and other brainwave entrainment devices. How they did this, I believe, many years ago, because there wasn't great source of electricity and products like the Pandora. What I have heard of, they did in, I think, the Amazon and other native parts of the world. They had this big spinny propeller. They held it up to the sun. Oh, there we go. Got 2 above them. What's interesting? Got two fans. So they were spinning around. You had the sun obviously behind it. And the way it will spin around, as though the different speed and the blades will cause a flickering effect. And say if that was going around at a speed of 3 propellers per second, you probably get 3 cycles per second, which was probably the delta. between 1 and 3 hertz. And I think that's probably where it stemmed from, the brainwave entrainment. 1942, Dempsey and Morrison discovered that repetitive tactile stimulation could also produce entrainment. And in 1956 to 1959, a guy called Robert Monroe. Has anyone heard of Robert Monroe? Yeah, a few of you. He was a researcher of the Monroe Institute, set up a research and development division to study the effects of various sound patterns on human consciousness, alongside Tom Campbell and Dennis Menering. Robert Monroe began to use himself as a test subject to experience states of consciousness in which he felt himself separating from his physical body, what he described as an out-body experience. Now, Robert Monroe was a pioneer in this whole umbrella term of out-body experiences and conscious exploration. He went to very many doctors and people saying, I don't know what's wrong with me, I keep having these experiences when I'm seeing myself outside my body, and of course the typical doctor would say, oh, just take this pill and you'll feel better, and he knew something else was going on that he couldn't describe because it was as real as this. What he found, he was a radio show presenter, listening to frequencies on the headphones, and this is where it all stemmed from. He was listening to these different frequencies which were entraining his brainwaves to get very, very deep. He didn't know what this was at the time, and he was scratching his head thinking, what have I been doing differently recently? And he was listening to these different frequencies by doing recordings and live shows. And so he set up the Institute in Virginia, in America. I'll go on to more of that in a bit. And he did I think test subjects of 18,000 people within a few months after setting up something called HeniSync, which was a binaural beat frequencies behind overlaid on music, which you can still purchase today and still is popular. 1959, Dr. Chadrian observed auditory entrainment in response to clicks at frequencies of 15 cycles per second. That's beta frequency. In the 1960s, this is quite interesting, an anesthesiologist, M.S. Sadov, started using binaural beats to reduce the amount of anesthesia needed for surgery and dental procedures, noticing less anesthesia required. And you think, wow, how did that happen? Well, it's because you're getting such deep states that you're either entering into alpha, which you're going into subconscious and hypnosis, and not the fact that you're numbing your whole body, but you're able to detach from that. It's the same as again, going back to Tibetan monks and that lineage, when they break boards and they go through pain and not actually damaging their body, they're actually controlling the reality around them.
So I had an operation a year and a half ago because I went deaf, and they put adult grommets into my ears, and I stayed awake. All I had was just a normal cream in my ears, and I didn't have it. I said I don't need it.
You okay?
And he said it's really going to hurt. If you move, you could go deaf. I said no, I'll be fine. And it was amazing. And you saying that, it's like, aha. But yeah, that explains it now.
Well, our thoughts create reality. Whatever you want for it. All around us is energy. This isn't physical.
I said it's something like that.
Yeah, this isn't physical here. You think it's physical. This is all vibrating matter. Everything's vibrating. And your mind can generate different states of consciousness at will. There are people out there known as superhumans who can change things. I mean, even going back to Tariff earlier, he said he can stop his pulse. And the same, you said you didn't need it, and you just know. And obviously you've probably had experiences before when you probably go through pain.
I was weird because I had cesarean when my boy was 6, and I went home the next day and I wouldn't take pain relief, and she went to me, "You're just weird." And I was like, "No, I just want to go home." But no, I didn't. I honestly did not. I don't feel pain.
Do you think it's in some way because of the brain?
I've always said the mind controls the body,
yeah.
The other way around.
Yeah.
I've always said that.
Yeah.
So if you go in a blind panic, you're going to be palpitating everything before you even get there. But if you tell yourself it's not going to hurt, it's going to be fine. It is.
That's right, definitely. Well done, thanks for sharing. 1973, Dr. Gerald Oster examined how combining 2 pure tones resulted in a rhythmic beat, which he called binaural and binaural beats, as what I was explaining earlier, by doing 2 tones. The first tone you heard earlier in some of the history there was probably 1 repetitive tone, and then they found out that creating 2 tones created that whole brainwave state that's central to the brain. In 1980, Dr. Glenn Solomon, researching entrainment for headache relief as well as general relaxation, found that the binaural beats were helping to relieve headaches too. We found that too after people being under the lights as well as the binaural beats. They've gone in with a massive headache, they've come out with it gone. And I'm not sure the results of that. Maybe it's just putting more blood flow for the brain. But people have come to me after saying, I went in there with a headache and came back out and hadn't got one, and they didn't say they had a headache first of all, but obviously they were just trying to try anything, which is very interesting. 1984, Dr. Rocker analysed audiovisual brain stimulation and hemispheric stimulation during EEG monitoring. EEG is a brainwave mapping device which puts onto the head, uses electrodes and monitors the electromagnetic energy coming from your brain to, sort of analyse these states of consciousness that people go through. And this is how we can analyse what different states people go through. I don't have the equipment here. If I did, you'd be able to see the results. In the 1990s, Dr. Russell and Dr. Carter explored the potential of using entrainment with ADHD and learning disorders, as well as chronic fatigue, chronic pain, SAD, also known as seasonal allergy disorder, hypertension, and a number of other disorders. Basically trying to relieve these states. Not fully, it's not guaranteed to totally heal you from these states. It's helping you as like training wheels to make your life easier, the same as meditation. So the benefits of binaural beats. We have delta wave, which are 0.1 to 3.5 hertz, and this is to do with deep sleep, as we said earlier. And what you get out of that is deep relaxation, deep healing or rejuvenation. Also you get a sense of spiritual connection with the subconscious mind and gateway to the unconscious mind and beyond. Theta brainwaves, again to do with meditation. These are the 3 states that we're going to be dealing with this weekend. Is increased sense of peace and emotional stability. The benefits also are deep relaxation, improved memory, heightened intuition and inspiration, and calms the chatter of your mind, and also increases the psychic connection and spiritual connection. Alpha brainwaves, which we'll be exploring today, are 7 to 14 hertz, also known as 7 to 14 cycles per second, and they help relieve anxiety, stress and depression, reduces chronic pain. If you have problem with your head, it's probably what you were into at the time. You were in alpha. Yeah, that zone. Also increases athletic performance, increased cerebral blood flow, and that's probably down to relieving the headaches as well, and increased motivation, energy, and happiness. So here we go. Here's Robert Monroe, born in 1915 and passed away in 1995. And he set up the Monroe Institute in Virginia, as explained. This is it here. And lovely institute. I've been there myself, and so I've got some evidence for that, me in the booth. These are the booths out there called the check units. And you lay down, and you have speakers outside of the room. It's a tiny room. It's basically a mattress with walls around it, with a privacy curtain. And my father went there in, I think, 1997, I think it was, a couple of years after Rob Monroe had passed away. And he read about it online at a time when internet was starting to get really popular. And he went there, and he was a bit blown away. He was like, okay, this is very interesting. Has anyone been to the Monroe Institute? No? Okay, it's worth a visit. But you don't need to go, because we have our own retreat centre in Somerset, which is pretty much exactly the same. So that's the check unit. Check unit is an acronym, CHEC, which means Controlled Holistic Environment Chamber. And that's basically like you're blacking yourself out. You've got a privacy curtain, which you're just away, you're in your own little booth, and you have speakers outside the head, or you can wear stereo headphones. And you can just deeply relax there. And how they do this is they have an audio room with, say, one CD that's playing with all these binaural beats. And they'll play it and pump it to all these different rooms, all these different booths around the whole retreat centre, the institute. And you're all in the same sync. You're all like being synced to the same music, the same tones, and you all come out and you're like feeling blissed out. And we had a whole week of something called the Gateway Experience, which starts from they call them focus states, from focus 1 up to focus 21. And this is the focus state which Robert Monroe termed focus 10 was mind awake, body asleep, which is a favourite for some to explore, like lucid dreaming and out-of-body experiences. And it goes up to focus 21, which is being more than your physical body. Favourite one was focus 15, which is a sense of no time, and you could be in there. We had no clue how long these sessions were, and I found out at the end they were probably about between 42 and 45 minutes long, and it felt like you were in there hours. And we did another session, it felt like you were in there 10 minutes, and you get very, very deep. You go into a space where you black out, and in a good way. You feel like you're in a no man's zone. You don't know where you are, and you come out, and everyone's just. There's one lady who was there the whole time, just slept the whole week. Every time she'd come out of her session, she just had a bed head, and she was just like, I don't know where I was. And maybe she needed that. I heard that she went back home and she had some really interesting experiences, but I don't think she remembered much. She probably felt like she was there for like 2 days. Bless her. And she slept at night as well, because these tones are very deep, and I think she got a lot out of it, hopefully. So that's inside the booth. That's just me laying there in the Institute. And this is the retreat centre in Bridgewater in Somerset. I think some of you have been here already, have you? No? Okay, there's a few people here who have been. And this was built by myself, my family. It took about 7 years in the making. And we have the similar setup as well, the Monroe Institute. We have check units, so we only have 2 of these. The rest are normal beds. And basically have a panel beside the bed. We have like a selection for programs and body control. You have a privacy curtain. You can just lay there and deeply relax. And we do the similar sessions and create our own sessions too. So if you are interested, coming along and experiencing that, just let me know at the end. Then it goes on to the Pandora Star, which is a new device which has been out almost a year, and probably its birthday this weekend. And what came out before that was something called the Lucid Light Machine, which I bought last year. I think some of you had a go on. Lucid Light Machine was built and by two people in Austria, and because one person had a near-death experience when he was younger and wanted to recreate that feeling of going into the light. And so it's a beautiful product. It's just we found a few things with it that could be improved. One thing, the cost. Another thing, the size of the light machine. So as a group, a team of ours, we work with the Pandoras. I use them in my therapies, doing group work, personal work, and also personal deep explorations myself. And it's a great product. And how these work is the same as photic driving, the stimulation of lights. Just how binaural beats work, they work on tones either side of the ear, pulsing at different cycles per second. So there's the head of the lamp. They're over there if you haven't seen them already. They are set up. And you can either be sat up with these, or you can be laying down. And it works great with binaural beats as well. It's very powerful. We've had people enter into very deep states. One guy who did an event the other weekend, and within the space of 40 minutes, he had 4 dreams. And he was like blown away. Oh my God! I never dreamed. I had these four dreams. I was like, okay, that's great. Great thing about the Pandora, the Lucia, is that you can program it to be any brainwave entrainment you want, anything from 0.1 hertz up to 200 hertz. So you can access the whole consciousness spectrum of consciousness. So if you want to enter into alpha states of consciousness, you can get into that. These are our events we do. We have a couple of pyramids. Set this up myself and my partner, and we play gongs as well for gong healing. We have Pandora suspended from a public pyramid, and these are all people laying down here having a nice go. Same as personal sessions too. And yeah, there's a gong. These are just random pictures at the end. These are our events we do. We have several pyramids set up, and they work the same way as the binaural beats too. We don't play binaural beats in there, but we have the light machines, and we've had, within the space of 3 months, we've had so much interest that our work is growing, and so people get, this is before people are laying down there, and this is after, so quite a group of people. We have groups up to like 30 people laying down, and all enjoying the lights, loving it with the sound of the gongs. It's a very magical experience, and it's more powerful than binaural beats. Binaural beats are entraining your brain with tones. With the light, you're getting there instantly. I believe that we're like solar power beings. I like to use that term because without sunlight, we get depressed, we get down. It's like Norway, for example. I've used it before, and this would sound low on you, but there's a very high suicide rate in Norway because of the lack of sunlight. And you think, why is that? It's because we need light. So this works as a great satellite too. People suffer from seasonal allergy disorder, and feel low. There's not enough light. Okay, it's not the same as blasting sun rays into in your face, but you get that sense of being around light more, and also the frequencies involved too. So these are some happy people getting relaxed into the light. This is how our group sessions work. Have 4 heads under the lamp, and enjoy it. It's very therapeutic. And play a 44-inch wind gong and a 32-inch pasty gong, and people have a lovely sound and light experience. And these are the patterns you might see under the Pandora too. These aren't created from the Pandora. You can't actually get photos sort of behind your closed eyelids, but you might see things like this. And it's supposed to be very stimulating and relaxing. And obviously you saw these earlier, didn't you? You had to go.
Yeah, I keep going into that long state and back to normal.
Well, that's good in a way.
Yeah, I'll wake up soon.
So yeah, you might see some visuals such as this, some psychedelic visuals. Other than not, it'll be just therapeutic. And that's the Pandora Star. So I'm going to do some experiments with people under the light, and what we're going to do. Does anyone have a go? Yeah. Okay, we've got one hand. Anyone have a hands?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to have a go? Yeah. Okay. So.